Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Today's guest is someone who's dedicated his life to helping people unlock their full potential, not just through hard work, but by tapping into the power of the subconscious mind. Ole Hill, who works with entrepreneurs, business owners, and athletes all around the world, after facing struggles with low confidence and social anxiety, and going through a life-changing moment at just 16 years old. Ole took a deep dive into mindset and psychology. Now he helps others break free from fear, rewire their beliefs, and create real lasting change and fast. So I'm excited to learn how fast that can be. Ole, thanks so much for taking the time. I know we are in different time zones, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
I love that intro. Thank you. I'm excited to get into it. And I think that this podcast will be incredibly powerful because change can happen so quickly. And it's that mental shift that unlocks the massive shifts in our life. So by unpacking this today, we can get the framework to help anyone change what it is that they want to change rather than be stuck in the past.
Awesome, because that's all we try to do at the athletic school is to help people do that. But before we get into all the processes and everything you do, let's go back to you mentioned that your father had a cardiac arrest, and that was like a turning point for you. What Why was that a turning point? What shifted in your mind when that happened?
So I always felt like I had a lot of potential. Like I did well in some areas of my life, but I was really insecure. I had terrible social anxiety. When I was 13, 14 years old, I couldn't even look a stranger in the eyes. Every time I got on the bus, I was avoiding eye contact with the bus driver, everyone on the bus. And I had a lot of potential at the same time. Like I did well in sports. I was a leader in my football team, but in other contexts, I was completely a shell of myself. And it wasn't until um, we were a very active family. One night, my dad came home from a run, and he had been running every day straight for 200, maybe 300 days. So it was just a normal occurrence. And he got back home and he talked about the dinner that we were cooking because my little brother had cooked for the first time, which in a while, which was out of the usual. And then all of a sudden, he kind of falls from standing down to on the couch, and he rolls off the couch onto the floor, and he's gasping, and it was such a unique sound because with the cardiac arrest, his veins were blocked, so he could still breathe, but the oxygen he was bringing in wasn't getting into his heart, into his brain, and so in that moment he was turning purple, and it was out of nowhere, and in an instant that negative change could have happened. He actually survived, saw my mum do CPR for 8 minutes. The ambulance got there. He's still with us today. But it was that realization that nothing is owed to you and everything can be taken so quickly. You have no clue how much time you have left. So why are you wasting any of the seconds that you have by being less than what you could be?
Mhm. Yeah, I love that, and I truly relate to that. Um, and then, what was your first experience with hypnosis, and how did it impact you?
Yeah, my first experience with hypnosis, I think it's like a lot of people, I didn't think anything of it. So my first experience kind of has nothing to do with what I'm doing today. It was quite interesting. I played indoor bowls. It's like lawn bowls. It's an old people sport, but I played it in our like junior high school. We had a team and we were going to nationals for it. And so there was a fundraiser on. And the fundraiser was it was in the school hall, and it was just a hypnotist who was on stage doing like the silly entertainment stuff. And we didn't go because we were interested. My whole family just went because we were fundraising. We bought tickets to contribute towards our nationals thing. And basically we get there, our family friend, the parent of one of my friends, he ended up getting taken up on stage, and he became the star of the show. The hypnotist told him that everyone he saw in the crowd was naked, and he's going bright red, laughing, falling out of his chair. But then we all just went home, we didn't think anything of hypnosis. And it wasn't until recently where it's like, okay, we can see someone get stuck to the floor, someone forget their name, someone think the crowd's naked, someone believe that I'm invisible. Hypnosis can do all of these insane things in entertainment. Why are we not using that tool for life and for performance rather than just for a few laughs?
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I think when we think about hypnosis, we probably think so many different things that are not even right. So, what's hypnosis? How would you explain hypnosis? What actually is? How does it work?
I think the way I describe hypnosis is in the context for athletes and high performers. Hypnosis is the art of mastering focus in order to align your subconscious mind with your conscious aims, because we have the conscious mind and we have the subconscious. The conscious is what we actively think with on a day-to-day basis. It's what we think is in control, but in reality, it has 1 millionth of the power that the subconscious mind does. The subconscious is our autopilot that guides and dictates all of the success that we have. And the thing is, the subconscious gets programmed by things other than our own thoughts. The subconscious has its own conditioning, and sometimes that conditioning isn't what we want. That conditioning is why we fail under pressure. That conditioning is why we self-sabotage. That conditioning is why we only get so far and then we crumble, because those patterns are in the subconscious mind. And no matter how hard we think, I need to train more, I need to be more disciplined, I need to eat right, those are only conscious thoughts. And conscious thoughts only take you so far if they're not in alignment with the subconscious mind. So hypnosis is simply allowing your brain to relax deep enough that we can change the patterns which are ruling your life and controlling the results you do or do not get.
Hmm. So, so basically, what you're saying is, when we try to change our mind in a conscious way, um, it's it doesn't. It's not that it doesn't matter, but it's just not as powerful at changing the subconscious. Is that correct?
It doesn't matter at all. If you're thinking conscious thoughts that aren't in alignment with your subconscious mind, nothing's going to work. If you have the subconscious belief, I am fat, no matter how hard you try to diet, no matter how hard you try to exercise, you will find yourself going nowhere. If you try to think, oh, I'm going to get better this year, I'm going to play better this year, but if your subconscious is holding on to a belief that I'm a average player, I'm no more than a Division 2 player, if that belief is in your mind, your subconscious dictates the amount of success you are allowed to have. So if you consciously aim for higher than that, it doesn't matter. Your subconscious, the stuff that goes on in the background, will make sure that you never do better than your own beliefs.
Mhm. It's incredible how our mind can be so incredible. Um, and okay, so how can we change the subconscious? It is through hypnosis. I'm assuming that's one of the ways that we can do it. I'm not sure if there is any other ways, but whenever you're doing the hypnosis, like how how are you able to change the subconscious mind?
So it's fascinating, like, why do our thoughts of, I want to do better, why do we end up getting the same results? And that's because you have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the conscious filter in between the two. Anything that gets into your subconscious mind is acted on as true. If it's in the subconscious mind, it is a belief that your mind will always act on and truly go for. So the conscious filter is what prevents everything being believed. So let's say someone said to me, "You're an idiot." It's my conscious filter that blocks that and says, "Hey, no, I believe I have intelligence. We're not going to let this into my brain." So hypnosis is the process of, through what's called an induction, I take you into trance. The process of going into trance is me calming, focusing, and guiding the conscious mind enough in a certain way to so occupy it that the conscious filter turns off for a little bit. And then when I give visualizations, instructions, or statements from that point forwards, those statements are allowed into your subconscious mind. Once they're in there, they are true and they are acted on instead of the old negative truths that you had in there.
Hmm. Okay. So, walk me through a session that you might have with a client. We're talking about it's all you do nowadays, and so someone comes to you, and sometimes I feel like it might be a problem when someone doesn't know what's wrong with them. So, for example, maybe I'm not performing, right? I keep training and all of that, but I don't know what's in my subconscious mind. So, when does a client come to you? Uh, how does that session works? Is it one session? Is it multiple sessions? How does that process work?
Yeah, firstly, let's break down the type of person who gets a transformation from working with me. Who I work with usually is someone who's butting their head against the wall with the same problem. They know they want to do better, but for some reason they just aren't. The harder they try, the more they seem to be stuck in the same place. They get a little bit better, they take 2 steps forwards, then 3 steps backwards. They're never going anywhere. And in fact, the same problems never really leave. They just change form or they get worse. And so
Hmm.
that can be something like self sabotage, addictions, limiting beliefs, or holding yourself back. Because confidence is what allows us to take advantage of all of the opportunities in front of us. Very, very often, we do not need anything to change. We just need to make the most of what we already have. It's not that we were born in the wrong place. It's not that we're in the wrong team. It's not that we don't have the opportunity. It's just that we need to take advantage of all of the opportunity which is already there. So in a hypnosis session, I explain what hypnosis actually is. You're not really going to sleep. Your eyes will close, your body will relax. You're still aware of what's going on around you, but you'll be focused in on my voice. And the words that I say help you. It's not me doing this to you, it's you doing this to yourself. But my words are the catalyst, which instead of getting you to go down the same repetitive path in your brain, the same subconscious loop that you're trapped in, hypnosis is the catalyst that lets you shoot off into the new pathway, the pathway of your best self. And it makes it automatic for you to make that decision every single time because we put you in the subconscious frame that serves you. Right now, your subconscious frame has been formed through the trauma or the upbringing that you've had so far. Your brain learned to survive this way. We re educate your brain to learn to survive and thrive the best way.
Hmm. Okay, so let's give an example of someone that is trying to make more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think for me at least, when I think about the money situation, I feel like it could be tricky in a way because how do I know that it's it's me playing the game of life where I have to work hard for a period of time in order to be successful, or is it my subconscious mind that it's letting me just going back to the same loop where I end up not making money? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I know that?
If you do not have what you consciously want, then your subconscious is holding you back from getting that. Because if you knew how to get your mind into action, you would be moving towards and you would be way further along that path right now because change happens in an instant. And it's often that big opportunities, big jumps happen in a moment. There's potentially years that lead up to it, but then there's a promotion. There's a series of new business that comes in. There's a change in location which has a massive shift for us. So leveling up or next steps financially always happen when we get unblocked. So if you're not where you want to be, there is a block that needs to be removed and shifted. One way that you can see this, for example, I was doing a session yesterday, and he's a foreman on a site over here. He makes $2,500 a week, but he's living out of his car right now because he has a subconscious block that he doesn't want to pay rent. And part of his mind doesn't believe that success is lasting for him. And he's not totally comfortable in believing that he is worth the amount that he makes. And therefore, he will not spend proportionate to the amount he makes. And even when I was younger, I was working as a personal trainer. I was 18, 19 years old. And I had a belief that money was very, 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 very hard to make. And it was even harder to keep money. And so I was working 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single night in the gym that I was at. And I wasn't really doing anything productive either. But I started making more money, but then it was just disappearing. And because I believed that money was hard to have, I couldn't have it. I just had habits that made me throw it away. Even as I made way more as an 18-year-old, I was spending $200, $250 a week at the cafe attached to our gym. So if your subconscious mind is conditioned to believe you will be poor, or to believe that money is hard for you and your limits are hard to break through, then it will find a way to keep you poor. Even as I made more money, enough money to be reasonably rich for my age at the time, I kept myself poor just through moronic habits that I wasn't aware of. That's what the subconscious does. Subconscious means below your awareness. So my habits that were below my awareness were sabotaging the conscious aims I had. Consciously, I was moving one way. My subconscious was moving the exact opposite direction, but the subconscious always wins.
Mm-hmm. So I want to give you an example that I keep thinking of myself. I'm aware that money, like, let's talk about money since we are on the subject. I don't think money's hard to get, but I do think in a way you have to work hard to get money. And that can, for me, in a way, means either putting a lot of hours and, not necessarily handwork, but maybe it's taking meetings, maybe, it's going to work itself. But I am aware that, there's people that, I don't know, they create a company, they create a podcast, and then they sell for $1 million in the next day. How, like, is it my subconscious mind in a way making me believe that, like, look, Igor, you have to go to work and you have to always work hard. And if you don't work hard, because I do think that in a way, but I don't know if it's a belief that I have, or it's my subconscious mind telling me, like, yeah, you have to keep going to work, if you want to be rich, if you want to be a millionaire one day. Does it make sense what I'm trying to ask you?
I understand exactly what you're saying. And the reason why that has so much of a hold on your life is because whatever beliefs you believe are actually true are the ones that are controlling you most. So when you ask it right there, you're saying, wait, but it's true that you have to work hard. And it's only true because you believe that. And there's people out there who don't believe that you have to work hard in order to make money. And therefore, they make money without working hard. Now, for
Mhm.
example, myself, as a personal trainer, I work a sixth of the hours that I used to work. I work a couple hours a day and I make more than double what I used to make. Even a few months ago, I'm making far more than that and I'm working less at the same time. And for me, it was really because I believed that it would be a fight. But if you believe that it's going to be a fight, then you have to fight in order to keep making money. but the brain is a survival machine. It's conditioned to not want effort. It's conditioned to cruise and move towards comfort and autopilot as much as possible. So if you have money being a really, really hard thing and your brain wants really, really easy things, you're always at a clash because they repel each other. Your craving for easiness and your desire for money are opposite to each other. But if I view money as easy and my brain wants easy, then we're in harmony. So holding on to the belief that you have to work hard isn't true. And I believe that there are people who work lots, who work frequently, but those are the people who believe that work is the best or the easiest thing to do. Even Alex Hormozy, right, who's very well known for his work hard, put in the hours, put in the suffering, the only reason he puts in those hard hours is because he knows that's the easiest way to do things. He knows that that's the only way that leads to results. So even him, at the end of the day, when you hear him explain it, he's telling people to work hard because he believes that's easy. Working harder is easier than being someone lazy. So whatever belief you're conditioned to hold is the one that you will hold yourself to. And you just have to give yourself, firstly, hypnosis is the catalyst that helps you break that pattern. But for example, once someone has broken that pattern, then you begin to see the easy ways to make money. Once you realize that you don't have to work hard in order to make money, you stop closing yourself off to the easy opportunities. Because if you believe that money has to be hard, your brain won't let yourself see the easy opportunities. That's what the conscious filter does, right? There's a great video on my Instagram. You can go watch it where I convince a girl, I hypnotize her to believe that I'm invisible. So what's going on there is your nose is actually in your field of vision 24/7. Both of our eyes can see our nose, but it's not useful. So the brain deletes it. The subconscious tells our eyes to delete what we see. And so in hypnosis, I told this girl's brain to delete what she saw of me, and therefore she couldn't see me. And if your brain is hypnotized to believe money means working hard, that means it's hypnotized to delete the easy money opportunities. There's probably contacts you have in your phone right now who could sponsor the podcast a little bit. There's probably contacts in your phone right now who would pay you for your coaching a lot more than you currently charge. But your brain won't let you see those opportunities until it is hypnotized to believe that the opportunity is there. Whether you're hypnotized to believe it isn't or hypnotized to believe it is, that's the results that you will actually see in your life.
Well, we have to set up another call for me to get hypnotized then, because please, let's fucking do it.
We'll do it, brother,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah, and I mean, the name of the podcast is The Athletic School because I work with athletes. I was an athlete. I'm still an athlete. And the reason I started athletic school is because, and I wish I have met you like maybe 5 years ago, and maybe today I was playing the MLS. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I mean, I got to the point that I knew that training it wasn't enough anymore because I wasn't very gifted, so I trained a lot and I got much better, but it got to a point that like I would never get the playing time that I was expecting. There was something on the way, and I remember my mom always saying that like maybe you should look into that because that's not normal, and part of me I just wanted to like I think this is how life is, just trying to test me. And in a way it could be, but also I think there was definitely like a mental block there. So I know you worked with some athletes in bringing that subject to the athletic field. Um, I mean, what are some things that you see on athletes that are the huge mental blocks? Because you're talking about it like, look, if I think I'm a D2 player, I'm never gonna play D1, right? I think that's normal. I think we there's so many athletes that probably think those things, right? But what do you see those mental blocks? What's the most often mental blocks you see in athletes, and how can we help each other, I guess?
If an athlete says to themselves, I wish I could do that, I wish I could play at that level, I wish I could get into that team, that tells us instantly that they have a conscious desire which their subconscious mind does not believe is possible. And for as long as your subconscious believes it is not possible, it will not happen. It's not until you believe you are capable of it, that you deserve it, that you are worthy of it, that you can get to that stage. I have a lot of athletes coming from traumatic backgrounds, a messed up past, and they've directly had parents, loved ones, or coaches tell them, you're not worth shit, you're not valuable, you're not good enough to get there. And they have to fight that voice in their head over and over and over. And so what you'll look at is your beliefs about what you are worth become true over time. So subconscious behavior, that means behaviors which we aren't consciously aware of. The way we turn up, the way we train, the way we eat, the way we go to sleep without even realizing is determining our athletic potential and our future. The little behaviors like going to sleep 5 minutes later than you know you should have, staying on your phone for a few more scrolls than you know you should have. You might think that that's just randomly happening. You might think that you made that choice in the moment to do that negative behavior. But actually, if these negative patterns and behaviors keep coming back more and more and more, it is because your subconscious mind has been conditioned to do that to you. And this is one of the ways that athletes sabotage themselves. They know what they could and should do, but they find themselves in negative behaviors, negative habits. And the reason they find themselves in that situation is because it's their subconscious mind purposefully holding them back without them even realizing. So whatever you believe you are worth, you will get. And whatever you tell yourself is realistic is what you'll get as well. Because you might say, oh, I just can't commit to this long enough to give it a shot because I have to go make some serious money now. If you truly believed that you were going to make it, then what does a $60,000 teacher salary mean to you compared to the $600,000 salary you could make if you were going to go pro? In order to be successful, you have to step out of your current reality in order to step into your future reality. That is the process of hypnosis, is moving from your current limits and being willing to imagine the best version of yourself with no limits. It's the ability to forget about what you believe is true, to forget about the limits which are true and real. It's the ability to drop all of those for long enough to rewire yourself and believe and hypnotize yourself into this limitless version.
What are some common subconscious patterns that hold people back in general?
So any addiction, any negative habit which you repeatedly do. Now, how I define addiction comes from Paul Chek. And any addiction is a behavior which you repeatedly do, which brings about results that you do not desire. Addictions are all subconscious. Our results are conscious. So if you look and you say, hey, I'm eating the wrong foods over and over again, and that's giving me the result of decreasing my performance, which I don't want, then you are addicted to bad food. A lot of men and young athletes struggle with pornography as well. If you're repeatedly watching that and that's giving you lower confidence, lower testosterone, lower motivation, then you're addicted there as well. Any of these addictions that we do, like vaping, for example, terrible one at the moment. But
Hmm.
the largest problem is the lack of confidence in yourself. If you knew that you had to lock in for 6 months in order to get your MLS contract, in order to get your MLB contract, your NFL contract, if you knew for a fact that you were going to get that contract, if you did everything correctly for just 6 months, I believe all of us listening to this podcast would lock in for 6 months. So the fact that you are not locking in tells us that you do not believe you are good enough to get there, because if you did, you would lock in. And if you do not believe you are good enough to get there, you will not get there.
Um, and we of course we talk about being hypnotized and all of that, but I know that some of the people that are listening to us, they don't even have access to those things, right? Um, are there any simple tools or habits that people can use to start like rewiring their mindset, their brain in a way? Does the meditation helps, or is that something totally different?
So I urge people to check out my YouTube. I will post a self-hypnosis audio that you can listen to there for anyone that can't afford to work with me one-on-one. But what hypnosis is doing is it's giving you the catalyst, the opportunity to move down this new pathway in your brain. The reason why you're going down this old pathway, the reason why you're addicted to the behaviors you do not serve them, is because your brain, via something called the law of facilitation, your brain has traveled that path so many times that the more times a neural pathway is traveled, the easier it becomes to re-follow that pattern. And so what we have to do is create a new pattern. And in the law of facilitation, there's two aspects. There's frequency of traveling a route, and then there's the intensity at which that route is traveled. So by adding more significance to the positive route than the negative route, it becomes your brain's new default. So you might have traveled the pathway of self-sabotage, of missing your goals many, many times. But if we add more emotion, if we add more intensity to the positive pattern, then you will go down that route far more often. So what I need anyone listening to do is visualize exactly what you want, and then the repercussions of your actions. Where does it lead you to? Who's going to be around you 5 years from now if you are your best self? Where are you 5 years from now as your best self? Who does this help? Who else in your life benefits from this? In what way are you now able to give yourself more love? In what way can you give your family more love? How much more could you help? How much more would you achieve? And how many more lives would you impact and reach if you were your best self? Feel it. See what it looks like. Feel what it would feel. If you could give this a color in your mind, if you can imagine your body wrapped in a color, wrapped in a blanket of success, what color, what feeling would that wave of success look like to you? What would you hear? Is it the roar of a crowd? Giving yourself that vivid, total clarity on what it is that you are moving towards conditions your mind to accept that as the new normal, the new familiar. We add more clarity and vividness to that reality than your current reality. And you will be compelled, you'll be driven towards your best self rather than your current self.
In the video that you mentioned on that you're gonna put it up on the YouTube, is it something that people can do every day? The most they can do the best, or how does that work?
I hypnotize myself every single morning. Some of my clients like to hypnotize themselves every night. The reason why right after waking or just before going to sleep is so effective is because we are in theta brainwaves at this time of day. Theta brainwaves are deeper than the beta or alpha brainwaves we typically operate from. Theta is associated with our subconscious. So accessing our brain, putting thoughts into our brain at this time while it's in this theta state helps us to reprogram and recondition our brain the fastest.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to do that tonight before going to bed. Um, what does it take to become a hypnotist? Because I think a lot of people look at some of the videos and of that you post. It's incredible, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest, and I think a lot of people think the same way. Like, we don't know what's truly happening. Maybe
Mm,
she's an actress. You know what I mean?
mm.
Um, how? What does it take for you? Did it take you to become a hypnotist? And like, how do you get people to, kind of like sleep like that in a way, right there in front of you, and then come back all of a sudden?
I didn't believe it was real as well. Like I said, I saw a family friend get hypnotized at 13 and still was like, oh, okay, that was something. I don't know. I'll just move on. And I didn't add any significance to it until many years later. A business coach, he was a marketing coach, essentially, is how I knew him. Arlen Moore on Instagram. He posted a video where he got hit. Well, his girlfriend got hypnotized by someone called Marcel Klein in order to get over a phobia of fruit that she had. And I trusted this marketing coach and I said, okay, if he believes it's legit, then I guess I'll take a look at it. And I
Mhm.
took a look at it and I realized that because I became successful as a personal trainer, I didn't go to university. My life was getting better and better, but all of my friends' lives were they were just drinking every weekend. They were taking a degree that they had no passion for. They were doing nothing. My clients' lives, they were struggling as well, physically and mentally. And I realized that all I had done, all the reading I had done, the journaling, the meditation, the affirmations, the study, the YouTube videos, had just been a slow process of hypnosis. And I was succeeding because over years and years and years, since I was 15 years old, since I saw my dad, well, before my dad even had his heart attack, I had conditioned myself to believe that success was possible. And hypnosis is just a tool that allows you to make that belief change in an instant. So, yeah, I understand and I recommend people don't believe me. Try it for yourself. And it's not until you experience it, it's not until you witness it that you will find out just how shocking it is. And so, the very first time I hypnotized someone, I watched an 8-minute YouTube video and for weeks and weeks and weeks I was writing down all the words and I wanted to try but I was too nervous to try on someone. And then one day I said, oh, I'm going to do it on my little brother. And it worked so well that I thought he was joking. I thought he was taking the mickey out of it. I thought he was like just pretending. And I actually got annoyed. I got so angry at him because I was taking it really seriously and I thought that he was mocking me. And then by the time I realized that he was actually in trance, you need to be a little bit quicker when you're in hypnosis. And so I just burst out laughing. And then he came out of trance because I didn't know what to do next. I couldn't believe that it had worked.
Mhm.
And the next 3 people I tried it on, it did absolutely nothing to. Didn't work. Next 3 people. So I studied more, I learned more. And then the next time I did it, I filmed a tutorial on how to do it. I had hypnotized one person and I said, I studied a lot and I said, this is going to work. This is going to work so well that I'm going to film a video about it. And that's what I did. I hypnotized the next person. He couldn't believe it. It was super successful. He turned into a paying client after just demonstrating it for free. And if you'd be interested, I can tell your audience how to do it right now. But the thing is, what's going to happen is some of you listening right now will do this and you will know how to hypnotize someone right now. But others of you will say, there is no way it is that easy. And therefore, because you believe it does not work, it will not work. So, the actual answer to your question on how to hypnotize someone is just to believe and realize that it is possible to hypnotize someone.
That's so interesting. I have so many questions. I'll definitely have to learn and study more about it because that's just incredible to me. And like I can spend hours on your Instagram page just looking at some of the videos that you post there because I'm like that this cannot be real. But
Yeah,
then it's just like I can see you just walk to this girl and like she's just surprised as I am. You know what I mean?
exactly. Exactly. And you don't have to believe in it. That's the thing.
Hmm.
Like, you have to believe in it in order to do it on someone. But for me to hypnotize you, I don't care if you believe it or not. I don't care if you know me. I'm going to hypnotize you. Like, that's just how it works. And then in terms of the therapy side of things, the therapy is a process we go through together. We need your mind to be open to making this change, but we make your mind open to making that change. And so, yes, everyone can be hypnotized. And yes, there's different depths, there's different levels to it. Some girls and guys go way deeper, way faster. Other people, they try to hold back. And I have to tell them, hey, it's okay. And actually, more confident people, more successful people go way deeper, way faster. My
Hmm.
first ever video went viral. She was a dancer, so she's very confident in herself, and therefore she was able to relax and totally let go. And she's also very strong, so she felt safe in the moment to relax as well, and therefore her hypnosis was so much deeper. And so giving yourself the permission to experience it is all you have to do.
Hmm. Is there any bad things that can come up from being hypnotized? I'm sure, like we were talking before, I'm sure you could use that to do bad things to people, right? Because you're playing with something that it's very deep. But is there anything that, like, I don't know, like I don't know. I can think like me trying to do it at home by myself, but then who knows what can happen? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The CIA have spent over $250 million on researching mind control and researching hypnosis. And the Manson murders, hypnosis was a large part of it. So Charles Manson's doctor, his psychiatrist, I believe, also got later declassified to be found out to be the MK Ultra or Project Mockingbird head researcher of psychedelic drugs and hypnosis for mind control. And so it's definitely tied into very negative things. Typically, not in the Western world is it used for robbery or violence, but
Mhm,
yes, you very easily could. There's negatives to it that actually requires a significant degree of finesse and a depth of understanding of hypnosis in order to get someone to do what they don't want to do. Generally, anyone right now, if you follow a script, you can hypnotize anyone to do anything that you want to do. Most hypnotist results will be hit and miss if they're not good. But once you're good, you can hypnotize anyone to do what you want to do, and you can hypnotize them to do things that they don't want to do. So I'm very selective with who I do a session with. I only see 6 clients per week. And in terms of teaching advanced hypnosis, that's very expensive. And I really make sure that the person I'm teaching has a safe background in order to be taught the techniques that I use. Because when you get to that level of control or understanding, people have a negative understanding of the word manipulation. And manipulation is only negative if you use it with negative intentions. But with positive intentions, manipulation is a very powerful thing. I manipulate people to change their lives for the better. But if you had poor intentions, you could definitely take it the wrong way.
mhm. We talked a lot about success and being successful. What does success mean to you now compared to what it meant when you first started that journey?
So I think one of the things that shocked me was When I was younger, even when I was 18 years old, I still had a very limited self-image. I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand, which is quite a small town, especially compared to anything American, especially compared to anything Australian. And I was really interested in health and personal development, but I had a blockage. I had a belief that there was no one else interested in personal development in Auckland, and all the people that I learned from, like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Limpton, Paul Check, Keegan Smith, like I just thought that there was no one around me interested in that. And so that was a belief that I had been really powerfully hypnotized into, to feel like a bit of a loner and to feel like a bit of a loser. And so the biggest hypnosis was actually an event, and it was this girl I'd never been broken up with before, but and it was very out of the blue. I got dumped by this girl. Like uh, it changed really suddenly, and so but what I realized was this girl, she was the first girl I had met in Auckland who was interested in personal development. She was actually working as uh, a physiologist as well. Like she was into exercise equally as much, if not more than me. And she shattered a lot of the beliefs that I had around what was possible. She was 4 years older than me. She was absolutely perfect. And I said to myself, oh, this is a level of achievement or success in one way that is way higher than I ever realized was possible for myself. So if I can succeed in relationships way better than I ever imagined, what if I can succeed in business way better than I ever imagined? What if I can succeed in life way better than I ever imagined? And so right now, my life is exactly what I dreamed of it being when I was 15 years old. I am living my dream, and I urge people to not believe when I say this, but to wait until they experience it themselves, because you have to realize that everything you've ever wanted is entirely possible. Literally. And I always thought that those big coaches I heard saying it were just saying it. I always thought it was just an expression. But these last 3 months, this year, this last 2 years for me now, I've really realized I can have everything that I've ever wanted. Any vision I have for my life, I can get that exactly. And now success for me is just aiming big enough. It's just redefining what I believe of as successful, because when you know you could have anything, what is it you would choose to have when you could have anything?
Mhm. What's something you wish more that people understood about the mind?
So you're in control of it. A lot of people say, "Oh, I have ADHD, I have depression, I have anxiety, I am suicidal." Like, no, you're doing that pattern. You're doing the pattern of not focusing. You're doing the pattern of being upset. That's a choice. So with hypnosis, focus controls your emotion. Emotion controls your behavior. Your focus is determined by what you believe at the moment. If I believe that success is going to be hard, I focus on the hard work, which makes me feel a negative emotion, which makes me take a negative action. But if I believe success is easy and it's coming to me and I'm destined for it, then I'm going to focus on all of the small wins I took today, which is going to give me the emotion to think, oh my God, my wildest dreams are coming true, which is going to give me the behavior of life is so good. I need to take even more action, even faster. So the fact that you believe anything is impossible, or the fact that you believe you are stuck with something, that's the biggest lie there is, because you're choosing to give your power away. Whatever you're not changing, you are choosing.
Mhm. It's fun you say that because, like I mentioned to you, my mom passed away a week ago.
Hmm.
And I mean, and she was like literally everything for me. It was just me and her. My dad was never in the picture. Um, like literally just me and her. And and there's always this talk about grief and how people deal with grief, because people deal with grief in many different ways, right? And I think in the beginning I was like, I mean, of course, I'm still very sad about it, but I think I understood that. I think when it comes to the spiritual part of it, I understood that what we're living right now, it's so little comparing to everything we're gonna see when it comes to the spiritual life.
Yeah.
Um, and I chose to believe that, you know, I mean, it's part of life, but she's not dead. I think our life goes way beyond just the physical and the body, and I think that that's bringing me a lot of peace of mind in a way, because of course I'll get sad here and there, but I think knowing those things doesn't make me, be depressed for a week. And maybe I will get sad in a month, and I'll be depressed, but I just don't think that's gonna happen, because I've been waiting for this moment to come, and it has been a week, and now I'm able to put my thoughts and my feelings into words, in terms of like, look, I think she's not dead. I think it's just us as a society. Like, yeah, they passed away, so I have to be sad because they're not here anymore. Oh, trust me, yes, I am extremely sad about it. But at the end of the day, like, understanding that there's so much more to it, uh, I think that just helps so much. And I was watching a movie. It's called The Astral City. It's a Brazilian movie, but it's a medium guy that makes. He wrote a book, and then the movie's about the book, and they talk all about that. Like, this is just like going to Earth and living in a body. Like, it's just not even like 1/3 of our lives,
Yeah.
right? When you die, it's actually life after life, because it doesn't mean anything. It's just our body that we're just going into another. I don't know the word for that, but we're just moving into another part of our lives, right? And our body's just like, it's nothing. It's just a body, and we can get sick, we can die, we can get hurt, but what truly matters is the spirit, is the soul, in a way. um and I resonate a lot with what you said, because a lot of people come to me and like, oh, I'm so worried about you because I'm here by myself, and of course it sucks. I would love to be close to my family a little bit, but at the end of the day, like, everyone texts me every single day, and I'm like, I mean, I'm good, and I'm actually good. I'm sad that she's gone, that she won't be able to see everything that I'm gonna accomplish in life. But at the end of the day, I know that she will see,
Mhm.
and I know that, like, even the things that I accomplish in this life, I'm not gonna carry necessarily to my next life, in a way. And I mean, I don't want to get into too much on the religion side of it, but I think when it comes to the mind, and when it comes to the soul, um like, this is just a little bit of our life. When we die, I think we are just getting born again, if that makes sense.
And with that level of psychological understanding, but also spiritual understanding, you move forwards in a way that serves you, because the grief we feel is natural, but it's not productive. And so
Mhm.
any emotion we feel is a driver of action. Loneliness is a driver to find other people. Jealousy is a driver to get more out of our own life. And grief, you only need to feel that if you need to be awoken. Grief is usually the regret that you didn't make more of who you are, but you already know you're growing. You already know you're moving forwards. You already know who you will become in this life and beyond that. And so hanging around and feeling sorry for yourself wouldn't be productive. It wouldn't honor your mother. And the way to give love to anyone, whether they're here or not, is by becoming the best version of ourselves. And you sitting around feeling sorry for yourself doesn't give you or her any more love. So I think you have an incredible mindset. I don't say that often, but the ability to move forwards consistently is all that we need to do. And yes, there will be times where negative external situations happen, but that doesn't mean we have to have a negative internal situation. And we can still feel empathy. It's obviously not what we want, but that doesn't mean it has to hold us back more. And it doesn't mean it has to stop us even more on top of that.
Mhm. What has surprised you most on this path about people or maybe about yourself?
I think it's insane. It is absolutely shocking to realize that you can get exactly what you want. Like I mean, I moved from New Zealand to Australia by myself. I live in the Gold Coast of Australia. It's the most beautiful place. I'm surrounded by the most beautiful people. I have the most beautiful relationships and friendships. And it's insane because at 14 years old, this is what I visualized. And I said, I hope that's possible. I hope that's what life can look like. I really, really hope. And there was a day where I said to myself, and this was back before I was a hypnotist. It was since I was 16, I knew that I wanted to make money online so that I could travel and have freedom. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But by the time I got to 20, or maybe 20, no, 20, I said, I still haven't achieved this. And I said, I would rather die than not see the best version of myself in this existence. I would rather not be here than waste being here. And I made that change and I get what I want. And I think the most shocking thing to possibly realize is not only can life be as good as you've imagined, it can be better than what you ever believed was possible. And I feel a debt. It is my life's mission. It's what I'm obligated to do is to help as many other people as possible to realize as much of their potential as they possibly can, because we just don't even know how much more we could do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't think we don't have any idea of uh well how much we can do, and that's exactly what I was thinking earlier, because I think the human brain uh cannot comprehend how how big our life is, and that's why we get so attached to, when I was talking about my mother, um we get so attached to the fact that she died, she passed away, but because as a society that's how we've learned, and but we just cannot comprehend some of the things that it is the reality. um my last question for you, I've been loving everything you're saying. I'm definitely trying to get hypnotized tonight before I go to bed. But what's one thing that you would share with the entire world? And I'm sure, I think I know what are you gonna say, but what's one thing you would share with the entire world?
Go harder, step out of the present moment. You have to be delusional. You have to be willing to see a life with no limits. It doesn't matter what limits you have right now. It doesn't matter how real you believe those limits to be. There is a version of you who knows success beyond what you could ever imagine right now. And it is only by being willing to suspend your disbelief, to step out of your limits, that you will ever achieve more. It doesn't matter how real the suffering and the lack of opportunity you have right now is. You have to forget it and you have to dream of exactly what you want with total precision, clarity, and detail. The more frequently and the more intensely you can do that, the more real it becomes. It becomes real in your mind first, and then it becomes real in your life. And you'll be shocked to see the physical proof of it right in front of your eyes.
Absolutely love it. uh Thanks so much for taking the time to share a little bit of that. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna listen to this, and they will feel like there is some hope at the end of the tunnel. That's how I feel right now, and I'm being completely honest. If this doesn't help anyone, you can be 100% sure that this is helping me already. Um, but yeah, thanks for taking the time. I know it's kind of like a early morning for you there. It's a late night for me. So I really appreciate all your insights.
Perfect. This podcast itself is a hypnosis. So, to everyone listening, for you as well, tomorrow morning, take action on it now, because this podcast is the catalyst which has allowed you to think down a new pathway. And the further you sprint down this positive pathway, the harder it will be for you to even imagine and remember what the old pathway was like. So, take action tonight. Think about what's the one small step that my best self would do in this moment that will prove to me right here, right now, I'm becoming who I want to be rather than who I once was limited to be.
Awesome, Ole. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, man.
It's been a pleasure. Loved it.